that we are going to add value in the fight against corruption.
4 out of the 5 commissioners sworn in for the National Population Commission were returnees for a second term in office, having been appointed for the first time in 2017. They are Benedict Ukpong from Akwa Ibom State, Gloria Izomfo Bayelsa, Patricia Kupchi Benue, Dr. Halilu Bala Kebbi, and Dr. Eitayo Oyetunji, Oyo State. Chairman of the National Population Commission, Nasir Isa Kwara, witnessed the ceremony in solidarity.
They've been part of the whole preparation, at least before the expiration of the tenure. Now that they are back, we will swing into full action. Every state is represented, and we'll make sure, by the grace of God, we'll get a great census for Nigeria. We are preparing to do the pilot census sometime in May. Once we do that, we give a gap of about 6 months, then we'll do the main census by the grace of God.
We are in for a new and better deal with census in this country. With the e-census, which is the first of its kind, all hands will be on deck to deliver a credible and acceptable census to the country.
I was part of the 1991 census, I was part of the 2006 census, and now I have the opportunity to be a part of this next census. I can assure that this census promises to be the most acceptable, the most accurate, and the most credible, free from political manipulation, free from political controversies.
The last time Nigeria had a national head count was in 2006. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The Senate has screened 4 presidential nominees as commissioners for the board of the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission. Chairman, Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream, Basi Akpan, urges the nominees to justify the confidence reposed in them. National Assembly correspondent Mobolaji Moribirin has the report.
In compliance with a resolution of the Senate, these nominees are being screened by the Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream following the request of President Muhammadu Buhari to the Senate.
I've worked across all the IOCs, and all my life I've focused mainly on oil and gas, and also providing support to some government institutions around the PIA and that. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and I'm very versed in financial reporting, business process consulting, management consulting in the oil and gas industry.
The committee seems to be impressed with their vast experience and expertise.
On the strength of this experience, is it the wish of this committee that the nominee takes a bow and go? Yes.
The Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission is a creation of the Petroleum Industry Act, which seeks to transform the nation's oil and gas sector. From the National Assembly, Mobolaji Moribiri, NTA News.
The full package of the ECOWAS stabilization initiatives in some troubled states of the sub-region is set to be rolled out. At a stakeholders validation workshop in Abuja, development partners shared their experiences at the pilot stages to give the implementation a firm foundation. Calvin Ebonaye reports.
In recent years, the West Africa and Sahel regions have experienced several challenges that pose risk to their stability and development. Recurring incidents of coup d'etat and terrorist attacks have become a cause for concern, leading to a rising state of instability in the affected countries. This phenomenon has adversely affected political and socio-economic development, with vulnerable groups such as women, youth and children bearing the brunt. Since 2017, the Lake Chad Basin Commission and the UNDP have been test-running the Regional Strategy for Stabilization program in the affected member states. This workshop is to evaluate the pilot intervention strategies and adopt a framework anchored on the new way of working, which emphasized a whole-of-society approach where everybody will play a part.
We have conducted sensitization missions across all the 4 affected countries and strategic partners to secure their buy-in.
I see that between now and another 3 years, we would almost have an envelope of 50 million euros to be divided amongst the 3 countries. Eventually, other countries will come on board.
Issues of funds application, to most critical aspects of the implementation of the stabilization program were also analyzed, with focus on human development and peace building. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
The Senate has held a valedictory session in honor of the new national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, who represented Nasarawa West in the Senate. The farewell session, which lasted more than 2 hours, was also in honor of the Deputy National Chairman of the APC North, Senator Abubakar Kyari, who represented Borno North, and the Deputy Governor of Zamfara State, Senator Mohammed Hassan, Zamfara Central. Senators described them as committed Nigerians and urged them to see their new positions as called to duty.
Eminent gentlemen for whom this particular chamber, this Senate, is very, very highly proud of. And we want to be counted as an institution for recognizing and commending the achievements and attainments these gentlemen have achieved in their lives. He came here as a PDP senator and now taking over the APC to do the great job that Nigeria has thrust on his shoulders. And he did very well. And I'm sure that weight of experience he had in managing the governors forum, he will bring it to our party, distinguished colleagues, to protect this institution. And this institution is made up of individuals. That is why people like Dume come in, or Adiola, or because of the experience. We don't have files. I said time and again in this chamber, and I repeat today as I leave this chamber, that as we are here, we are leaders of this great country. We owe this country a duty to unite in every way we can. The spirit of our oneness as a nation, no part of this country should be allowed to suffer or should be allowed to feel not part of this union. I know this feels like a goodbye speech, but I strongly believe that we all carry the pieces of each other into every new phases of our individual lives to remind us of who we are and the people we are meant to be.
I wish all of you a success in your all endeavors and God protection throughout your life.
This is a remarkable development in the political evolution and history of Nigeria. That today, the national chairman of APC, the deputy national chairman North of APC, the national secretary of APC, all are distinguished senators.
Meanwhile, Senate has condemned attacks in Kanam local government area of Plateau State and called on the Inspector General of Police as well as the military to provide adequate security in the areas, while federal government is to provide relief materials to internally displaced persons as moved by Senator Hezekiah Dimka. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has asked the federal government to direct the service chiefs to initiate a coordinated joint security operation in all troubled spots to flush out terrorists and other criminals. This is in response to a matter of urgent public importance from Yusuf Gagdi pertaining to last Sunday's terrorist attack on communities in Kanam local government area of Plateau State, as a result of which many people died and properties destroyed. The lawmakers also called for the setting up of military bases and deployment of security personnel to safeguard communities. The need for relevant authorities to take urgent action and prevent attacks in some communities in Benue State was also raised by John Day and supported by House members. The House urged concerned government agencies to be alive to their responsibility of ensuring security and safety of the citizenry. Nigeria's nationally determined contribution to the Paris Agreement is considered a bold component of the nation's climate action plan, and the World Bank is pledging support to its implementation. Onenge Findface will tell us more.
Nigeria's nationally determined contributions submitted to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change targets reduction in emissions from oil and gas, transport, electricity, energy, agriculture, forest and other land uses, waste, as well as industrial processes and other products used. World Bank considers these targets as ambitious and is in talks with the Federal Ministry of Environment to determine how it can assist the country with implementation of the nationally determined contributions.
We would like to intensify our engagement on NDC support. What does it mean? How can we help government of Nigeria not only look at its NDC commitment, but how will you implement?
It's very important, that we adopt this and ensure that not only do we explore the possibility of private sector and community-driven, resilience, but some level of investment too, as anticipated by World Bank.
Support from the World Bank also targets other areas of sustainable environment, like plastic pollution, restoration of degraded land for agriculture, financing for carbon sinks, among others. On NGA Sciences and News.
Public broadcasters in Africa are taking a firm position on the future of the terrestrial television services as the new technologies are putting pressure to claim some frequency band, which has been observed will affect the public service by the media. At a workshop organized by the African Union of Broadcasting in Dakar, Senegal, our correspondent Usman Aliu is among the participants. He is now live online via Zoom. Usman, thank you for joining us. Tell us more about the issues surrounding this event.
Oh, thank you very much, Lydia. It's a gathering of public broadcasters across the membership of African Union Broadcasters who converge here in Dakar, Senegal, to voice out their concerns over the recent move by the telecoms to review the frequency allocated to the frequency allocated for the terrestrial television services, which NTA is part of it as a chief public broadcaster. Okay. All national televisions across are public broadcasters. So there is an attempt by the regulators across the globe to reduce this frequency band allocated or assigned to these television stations, which are using to transmit on it. So with this, the gathering of these public broadcasters are expressing concerns that it is not acceptable, that they cannot agree for any reduction of this frequency because, as they have outlined, there are many issues like technical and interferences issues. There are some interferences which is going to be affecting the services and quality of broadcasting that we are offering to the public. As you know, a broadcast is a public service, and NTA, as you know, is part of it, and it has been doing it for several decades. We have so many stations across Nigeria. So if anything is affecting the frequency that has been allocated to NTA, that means there must be a weak in terms of the signals and transmissions that we are delivering to the people using these terrestrial services. Okay. So the organization, African Union of Broadcasters, have agreed and together with other stakeholders like the European Broadcasting Union, as well as Broadcast Networks of Europe. They are the key stakeholders who come here to give us their positions with regarding their experiences over there in Europe. Okay, all right. Because the frequency is a kind of universally accepted allocation all over. So if anything is reduced from the 700 megahertz that is being accepted for us to use, that means we are going to have so many issues. Okay. And what they are saying from this workshop is that the allocated frequencies to the telecoms, that is the telecommunication companies which they are using, they have not exhausted it, and it is no longer a problem for them to take away our own frequency for their own use, which is mainly for economic benefit. Okay. Ours is both for economic, social, and political, as well as even environmental factors that we are going to be using.
All right, thank you so much for that update. We would like to hear more, especially after you're done with your deliberations. So wishing you peaceful deliberations. Thank you, Usman.
Thank you very much.
Usman joined us live from Dakar, Senegal. Moving on now. The Nigeria Police Force has confirmed abduction of 5 female students of the Zamfara State College of Health Sciences and Technology, TAFE, by terrorists. Spokesman for the State Police Command, Shehu Mohammed, who confirmed the incident, said the students were abducted at their rented apartment off campus in TAFE town at about 3 a.m. this morning. Shehu, however, noted that one of the students escaped from the terrorists. He further said the command has drafted its personnel to pursue the kidnappers and ensure safe rescue of the abducted students. The incident is coming barely 1 week after terrorists attacked the town and killed 4 persons, including 16-year-old son of the Zamfara State Commissioner for Security and Home Affairs, Maman Ibrahim Safi. 1.8 million permanent voter cards for those registered from June to December 2021 are ready for collection, while over 1 million were declared invalid. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu stated this at the unveiling of the cards in Abuja as the continuous voter registration exercise ends on the 30th of June this year. You're still watching Nationwide on the network service of the NTA, and now join my colleague in Lagos for more reports on Nationwide. Over to you.
Lydia, the head of the Regional and International Migration Review Forum to be held in New York in May this year, Nigeria's delegates are brainstorming at a 3-day consultative meeting to review and take stock of the implementation of a global compact for migration in Lagos. Musa Toliat completes the report.
Irregular migration is the movement of persons that takes place outside the laws, regulations, or international agreements governing the entry or exit from the state of origin, transit, or destination. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, who was represented at the consultative meeting, stressed that the essence of the meeting is to allow development partners in migration take a critical look at the Global Compact for Migration document adopted in 2017 and appraise its level of implementation with a view to developing a global compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration in the country.
Nigeria not only participated actively to the process and adoption of this document, but also has demonstrated its commitment to the implementation by being one of the first countries to start off the processes of implementation after its adoption.
The outcome of the GCM review is expected to form Nigeria's position at the forthcoming International GCM Review Forum in New York.
Irregular migration is detrimental not just to the government but to the whole society, because we end up with victims, we end up with a lot of irregularities, we end up with drain of finances, we end up with all elements of abuse. But when we do it the right way, it benefits the whole of society as well.
Migration in itself is something that people do because of their aspirations, and they do so because they have interests in traveling from one place to the other. But the issue is for them to do it safely, for them to do it in a dignified way, in a humane manner, where their rights are also not infringed.
Stakeholders believe the review will strengthen the implementation of the National Action Plan on Global Compact for Migration in Nigeria. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
The policy direction of the Buhari administration is changing the narrative of fertilizer production in Nigeria, and this initiative is not only increasing farmers' access to the commodity but upscaling fertilizer application per hectare in line with global benchmark. Michael Olaleye reports.
Government's initiative in the last 7 years in the agricultural sector is actually shifted towards saving for the rainy days. The realization that increasing population will invariably put constraint on agricultural yield led to prioritizing the enhancement of agricultural value chain. Fertilizer production seems to be the answer, and the present administration capitalized on the country's huge deposit of urea to guarantee food security while expanding its export net.
The government also under the present administration took the decision to also have a deal with Morocco to buy potash from there, because we don't have much potash in Nigeria. So we can actually produce every NPK fertilizer we need for our use in Nigeria.
Private conglomerates are cashing in on this, and from having just 4 fertilizer blending plants 7 years ago, there are more than 50 today.
Only Dangote fertilizer plant can satisfy the whole of this nation. We should be self-sufficient, and that will generate a lot of jobs for the youth.
Lagos, the commercial nerve center of Nigeria, is not an agrarian community, but houses the world's second largest urea plant owned by Dangote. The 3 million metric ton facility is a giant step in the country's quest of becoming a net exporter of fertilizer.
With the availability of fertilizer blending plants in Nigeria, it will make fertilizer accessible to people, for farmers to use. It will make it affordable.
The fertilizer production revolution is a chain stimulating other vital components of the country's national life. And in no distant time, this initiative will no doubt translate into food security, crash in the prices of food items, and increase in foreign earnings. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NT News.
And those are the stories from the zone for now. But do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on YouTube at NTA News Online. You can also visit our Facebook page at NTA Network News. Our Twitter handle is at NTA News Now, and on Instagram at NTA Network for updates. We shall pause here for now for some messages, and when we return, Jenny Bassi in Port Harcourt will give us reports from that zone. To stay on to Nationwide.
157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportation. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
The broadcast media ecosystem is dynamic and requires continuous training for practitioners to perform optimally. NTA Television College Jos invites relevant officers to the following specially packaged training programs: Protocol Event Management and Public Relations, date 2nd May to 13th May 2022, 2 weeks. Video Camera Maintenance, date 16th May to 27th May 2022, 2 weeks. Basic Television Production Techniques, date 16th May to 10th June 2022, 4 weeks. Photojournalism and Photography, date 6th June to 1st July 2022, 4 weeks. Intermediate Online News Reporting Skills, date 4th July to 29th July 2022, 4 weeks. Sports Coverage and Reporting Skills in the Mass Media, date 4th July to 15th July 2022, 2 weeks. The course fee for 2 weeks courses is 150,000 naira per participant, while the fee for 4 weeks courses is 180,000 naira only, accommodation inclusive. The The venue for all courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA Television College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-079-5335 or 0806-980-9807. NTA Television College, Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
Do you run a breast or cervical cancer service? Are you a private or public laboratory, clinic or hospital that offer any of breast imaging, cervical cancer screening, HPV vaccination, or other breast or cervical cancer services? Is your service a primary, secondary, or tertiary center located in any part of Nigeria, no matter how remotely located it is? If yes, to any of these questions, then subscribe to the OCI Foundation's Save Breast app and become accessible and visible to millions of Nigerians. It is all for free. To subscribe, just type the Save Breast application form on Google or go to the OCI Foundation's page on www.ocifoundation.org and search for Save Breast application form. Complete the form and submit, and let millions of Nigerians patronize you, all for free. Become part of the OCI Foundation's quest to tackle breast and cervical cancers in Nigeria, and join us to rise by lifting others.
And welcome to Port Harcourt. The Chief of Staff to Nigeria's President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and the Minister of Finance, Project and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, have commended Indorama Nigeria for its immense contributions to the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, PFI, in the past 5 years. They made this remark while on a tour of the fertilizer plants at Eleme, River State. Gabriel Aminike reports.
Since 2016, the federal government of Nigeria has made concrete efforts to diversify the country's oil-based economy by expanding its agricultural sector. One of the solid interventions in meeting this goal is the launch of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, PFI, in December 2017. After reaching an agreement with Morocco to supply the phosphates to produce NPK fertilizer plants. One company that has translated the presidential initiative to reality is Indorama Petrochemical, a feat highly commended by the Chief of Staff to the President of Nigeria, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and the Minister of Finance, Project and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed.
It is better than just storing windows, and we have seen and really been very, very impressed. Not only for 3 reasons. First, that what you are doing is very much in line with the President's own priority to add the agri sector value chain to increase, to diversify the economy away from just dependence on crude oil export and crude oil contribution.
Indorama fertilizers are distributed across the 36 states of the Federation, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, where most of the farmers use fertilizers for both dry and wet farming seasons. In Port Harcourt, Gabriel Amonike, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, has sued for peace and protection of national assets in Nembe local government area of Bayelsa State towards the sustenance of the nation's economy. This was the fallout of an interactive session of the CDS with Traditional Rulers Council of Nembe. Doris Okumeye reports.
The Chief of the Defense Staff, General Loki Rebo, visited the palace of the Amananebo of Nembe, King Edmund Dakoro, where he said the community houses critical national assets, hence the need to partner with them to protect the asset, synergizing to foster peace.
Coming to see His Eminence is to appreciate him for all the support that he has given to members of the armed forces and the security agencies for indeed the various successes that they have recorded, and then also craving for more of his support in this regard.
Amananebo of Nembe said His Eminence King Edmond Dakoro appreciated the Chief of the Defense Staff for the visit, which he said will go a long way to restore confidence among the people. King Dakoro expressed his displeasure over the attitude of a multinational oil company operating in the area for its inability to keep to the agreement reached since they took over operation from Shell 6 years ago. King Dakoro appealed to the Chief of the Defense Staff to find a lasting solution to oil-related problems.
This is by and large the biggest thing onshore in Niger Delta.
The CDS later interacted with officers in Nembe. The Chief of the Defense Staff was accompanied on the visit by the Chief of the Defense Intelligence and other top officers. In Nembe, Doris Sakomoye, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's now back to Abuja, and Lydia is standing by for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you, Jenny. Nigeria business climate is becoming increasingly attractive through federal government investments in agriculture and farm inputs as a sure way to diversify the economy. This is the view of experts as NTA Tuesday Live focuses on fertilizer self-sufficiency and the game changer. Abubakar Akwaga reports.
Fertilizer revolution in Nigeria is yielding desired results, as from 5 functional blending plants in 2015 to about 40 in 2022, with the resuscitation of moribund plants across the country.
Coming of the presidential initiative, the narratives has been changed. The number of blending plants has increased dramatically. The only urea plant that was owned by government before, NAFCON, which was now privatized and renamed by the investors Noteric Chemical Industries Limited, but currently we have 3 urea companies.
Now the federal government is working towards self-sufficiency with strict regulations to check counter-production that may undermine genuine efforts in the drive to restore the lost glory.
Nigeria is self-sufficient as far as nitrogen production is concerned and the production of fillers is concerned. So 64% of what we require for generic blending is sourced locally. The balance 34% is imported. This is part of the move on the part of government to ensure that we foster import substitution and promote what we have comparative advantage in.
Experts are convinced that the increasing growth of fertilizer plants in Nigeria will serve as a game changer to economic diversification and huge export returns.
The components that are required to produce these NPKs are rightly available, but we are hoping that since it is available, the production should commence not before the farming season, so that availability in the market will make the product price stable.
Nigeria's highest consumption of fertilizers was last year, in spite of all the challenges on the pandemic that we had. We also saw a surge in the price because the initiative was restructured, which allowed for a freer market.
Stakeholders say participation of private sector in the industry will serve as an opener for generation of more activities in the production value chain. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
The federal government is engaging state governments to clear all encumbrances delaying completion of power projects in states across the country. Managing Director, Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, reveals that many power projects are abandoned due to issues surrounding right-of-way by host communities. He calls on state governments to wade in and engage their communities on the need to support federal government investments in the power sector, as well as protect the facilities against vandals.
Anybody who tamper with our transmission lines, it means he doesn't want progress in this country. If there is no light, there is no progress. So what we want from you is your cooperation. Try and enlighten the people that government is spending a lot of money, a lot of investment on this infrastructure. So this infrastructure belongs to Nigerians. Secondly, way-live issues, that is right of way, is one of the greatest problems our projects are facing. You will see that we have started a project for almost 10 years, but because of those issues, we cannot complete that project. Between
the security issues and right-of-way issues, we are also talking to the House of Assembly to come up with bills and enabling legislation that will help us, that will facilitate the achievement of our collective goal.
You're still watching Nationwide. We now go over to Sokoto, where Usmao is standing by with more reports. Hello, Usmao.
Media, good evening and welcome to Sokoto on Nationwide. Nigerian Customs Service Kebbi State Command has seized contrabands worth millions of naira. The seized items include petroleum products, second-hand clothes and consumables. Ibrahim Denhamidu has more on the report.
Customs Area Controller Kebbi Command Controller Joseph Atta said federal government's border closure command is still in effect and officers of the command in Kebbi are engaging smugglers and other criminal elements.
Our renewed and sustained clampdown on smuggling activities in the command has continued to yield positive results.
The Customs Area Controller Kebbi Command, however, expressed dismay over the challenge faced by the command from unpatriotic people who aid smugglers and criminals for money in exchange for their unlawful activities.
Even as we are talking, probably somebody somewhere is strategizing on how to beat the system or how to beat the law.
He pledged that smuggling in and around Kebbi will be very uncomfortable to criminal elements, adding that customs will bring offenders to book. In Birnin Kebbi, Ibrahim Nahamidu, NTA News.
No fewer than 40,000 orphans are to benefit from the Zamfara State Government 2022 Ramadan Salah Welfare Package. Governor Bello Muhammad announced this while flagging off the distribution of the assistance to the beneficiaries drawn from across the state. Jamilu Ibrahim Gusso has more.
That was the joyous Aisha Hussaini, one of the widows whose children made the list of the 40,000 orphans selected to benefit from the 2022 Ramadan Welfare Package of Zamfara State Government. Governor Bello Muhammad, represented by his deputy Senator Hassan Muhammad, flagged up the distribution of the assistance at the State Zakat and Endowment Board headquarters.
This is as to complement the series of intervention program by this administration. It is our hope that this will go a long way in reducing the difficulty during this month of Ramadan.
Executive Chairman Zamfara State Zakat and Endowment Board, Sheikh Abubakar Muhammad Sudanki, explained that 1,800 orphans were drawn from each of the 17 emirates of the state, with the exception of Gusau Emirate, which was allocated 3,600 beneficiaries, in addition to those to benefit from the assistance directly from the board headquarters. The items include more than 23,700 bags of assorted food items, comprising rice, maize, millet, and sugar, 40,000 pieces of clothing materials, and 40 million naira cash. The MS who received the allocation of their respective domains pledged that the assistance will reach the target beneficiaries. Each of the beneficiaries receives some quantity of the assorted food items, as well as clothing materials and 1,000 naira cash. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
And a quick reminder that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on YouTube channel NTA News Online. You can also visit our Twitter at NTA News Now, our Facebook page NTA Network News, and Instagram NTA Network for updates. We'll now take a short break, and when we return, the news will continue in Enugu.
The Nigerian aviation sector is rapidly growing with the construction of new international airport terminals in several regions of the country. The new Murtala Mohammed International Airport has an estimated passenger increase of 30 million annually and 15 million for Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Malam Aminu Kano International Airport is also expected to open new frontiers for the region with more travel capacity for the annual Hajj, while the new Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, avails more business opportunities connecting the industrial cities in the region to the world. These new terminals beat world-class standards with enabling infrastructure that aid air travel, tourism, and the eventual growth of the country's GDP.
Open up commerce and, of course, link us to international societies.
People from international community will come here to do business, and then that will bring in more revenue to the state.
Now, distances can be seamlessly covered as Nigeria keeps raising its bar to suit global infrastructure standards. All the thrills and all the action on Nigeria's biggest dance reality show. Glow Battle of the Year is on NTA every Sunday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Candidates who are interested in gaining admission into NTA Television College Jos for the